Welcome all. I am Professor S. Revati, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Erode Semundar Engineering College. In this session, we are going to see about definition for IoT, characteristics of IoT, physical design of IoT, and finally we will see about logical design of IoT. First, the definition for IoT. IoT in the sense Internet of Things. Here, Internet of Things means it is a collection of interrelated computing devices. Interrelated in the sense each and every devices can be connected, and these devices means it may be mechanical or digital machines, or it may be objects or animals or people, whoever it is, each and every object must contain unique identifier. It may be IP address like that, and each and every devices must have the capability to transfer the data from one network to another network without any interaction of the human. So this entire system is said to be Internet of Things. And this Internet of Things, actually how it works means each and every devices, or each and every smart devices that uses the embedded systems, and that embedded systems may be processors, sensors, or it may be any hardware. And with the help of these embedded systems, each and every devices will collect the information and transmit the information or data to the cloud, and based on that data, and based on that collected data, each and every system must act to the environment where they are found. And coming to next topic, that is characteristics of IoT. We are having different characteristics for IoT. Let me see one by one. So first one is ambient intelligence. Ambient intelligence in the sense it refers to the electronic environments that are very sensitive and responsive to the presence of people. And interconnectivity in the sense each and every devices in this IoT are interconnected with the global information and communication infrastructure. So this is interconnectivity. And the next one is things related services. Things related services means IoT is having the capability of providing things related services within the constraints of things, and the constraints such as privacy protection and semantic consistency. Then next one, we will see about heterogeneity. Heterogeneity in the sense each and every devices in the IoT are heterogeneous, since it is based on different hardware platforms and also different networks. So IoT is a heterogeneity. And dynamic changes. Next one is dynamic changes. So dynamic changes in the sense the state of devices can change dynamically. Example: sleeping and waking up, connecting and disconnecting, as well as the context of devices, including location, speed, etc. Then, moreover, the number of devices can also change dynamically. And next one is enormous scale. Enormous scale in the sense the number of devices that need to be managed and that communicate with each other will be at least an order of magnitude larger than the devices connected to the internet. Then this relates to semantics of the data as well as efficient handling data. Then next one is safety. So safety means as we gain benefits from the IoT, we must not forget about safety. As both the creators and the recipient of the IoT, uh, we must design for safety. This includes safety of our personal data, and also the safety of our physical well-being. Securing the endpoints, networks, and the data moving across all of it means creating a security paradigm that will scale. The next one is connectivity. Finally, connectivity in the sense each and every devices are interconnected, and this connectivity enables the network accessibility and compatibility. Accessibility is getting on an internet, while compatibility provides the common ability to consume and produce the data. So these are the different characteristics of IoT. And next we will see about physical design of IoT. So under physical design, we are having two topics, that is things and protocols. Let me see one by one. Generally, here the things refers to IoT devices which have unique identities, and it can perform remote sensing, actuating, and monitoring capabilities. Uh, each and every IoT devices is having unique identities, means it may contain different IP address for transferring the data in the network. And here things is a main part of IoT application. And IoT devices, it can be various types, maybe sensing devices, or it may be smart watches, smart electronic appliances, or wearable sensors, or automobiles, etc. And these devices generate some different types of data in different forms, or which when processed by data analytic systems, which leads to useful information. And these information are used to guide further actions locally or remotely with the help of cloud. And in this block diagram, we can able to see different blocks. Let me see one by one. So connectivity. So first one is connectivity. So here devices like USB host and Ethernet are used for connectivity between the devices and server. And next one is a processor. Processor means the processor is like a CPU, and other units are used to process the data, and these data can be used to improve the decision quality of the IoT system. And the next one is audio and video interfaces. So audio and interface, it acts as an interface. It acts as an interface device, and also this devices is used to record the audio and video in the system. And next one is input output interface. So input output interface means it is mainly used to give the input and output signals to the sensors as well as actuators. And here we use UART, SPI, and I2C and CAN. And next one is storage interface. Here we will use SD card, MMC, and SDIO cards to store the data that are generated by the sensors. And finally, we are having graphics. So this graphic sensors, this GPU and the NAND NOR gates and the DDR1, these are the interfaces which are used to control the activity of the IoT system. So these are the devices or blocks that are involved in building blocks of IoT device. And next one is IoT protocols. Here we are having four different layers: link layer, network or internet layer, transport layer, application layer. So first one, link layer. So in this layer, it will determine how data is physically sent over the network's physical layer or medium. And also, this layer determines how the packets are coded and signaled by the hardware devices over the medium to which the host is connected. And this is actually this link layer is wired, and if it is wired, the wire may be coaxial cable. And let me see the protocols one by one. So first one is 802.1, 802.3 Ethernet. Ethernet is a set of technologies and protocols that are used in LAN connections. This was standardized in the year of 1980s by the IEEE standard, and it defines the physical layer and medium access control sublayer of the data link layer. And this is mainly used for wired Ethernet networks. Then this Ethernet can be classified into two types. One is classical Ethernet, and second one is switched Ethernet. Then next one is 802.11 Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi in the sense, actually it is a part of IEEE 802 LAN protocols, and it specifies the set of medium access control and the physical access protocols, and this is mainly used for implementing the wireless local area network, that is WLAN. Wi-Fi computer communication in various frequencies includes, but it is not limited to 2.4 gigahertz, and its frequency bands ranges to 60 gigahertz. And next one is 802.16 WiMAX. WiMAX, the standard for WiMAX technology is standard for wireless metropolitan area network. This has been developed by working group number 16 of IEEE 802, which is mainly focusing on point to multi-point broadband wireless access. And next one is 802 15.4 LRW PAN. That is, it is a collection of standards for low rate, that is WR in the sense low rate wireless personal area network. And this standard defines MAC and physical layer which are used by, but not it is limit, but it is not limited to networking specifications, and this contains the different varieties of protocols such as Zigbee and 6LoW PAN, then Thread, Bison, and MIWI protocols. These are the additional protocols which are included in 802.15.4, and these standards provide very low cost and low communication for power as well as power constrained devices. And next one is 2G and 3G or 4G. Actually, this comes under mobile communication. These are the different types of telecommunication generations. Um, IoT devices are mainly based on these standards, which can communicate over the cellular network. Then next one is next layer is network or internet layer. Here we are having three different protocols. First one is IP version 4, then IP version 6, and then finally we are having 6 low WPAN. So first one is IP version 4. IP version in the sense Internet Protocol. So Internet Protocol version 4. IP in the sense Internet Protocol address. It refers to address, and it is the numerical label assigned to each and every devices that are connected to the computer network that uses the Internet Protocol for communication. An IP address serves two main functions. First are a network interface identification and location addressing. And this IP version 4 defines IP addresses in 32-bit number. However, because of the growth of internet and the depletion of available IP address 4, a new version of IP6 using 128-bit for the IP address was standardized in the year of 1998, and this IP version 6 deployment has been ongoing since the mid of 2000, I think. Then next, IP version 6. So IP version 6 is the successor of IP version 4, and IP version 4 was developed by IETF, that is Internet Engineering Task Force standard, mainly to deal with long anticipated problem of IP version 4. In the year of 1998, IP version 6 became a draft standard for IETF. Then this IP version 6 uses 128-bit address, and theoretically allowing 2 to the power of 128, or approximately 3.4 into 10 to the power of 38 addresses. That is possible addresses. And next one is 6 low pan. Here, 6 low pan in the sense 6 refers to the version of the IP address, and 6 low, the LO refers to the low power, and PAN refers to the personal area network. So, 6 low PAN in the sense IP version 6 over low power wireless personal area network. Next layer is transport layer. This layer provides the functions such as error control, segmentation, flow control, and condition control. So this layer protocols provides end-to-end message transfer. And this layer consists of two types of protocols, TCP and UDP. TCP means transmission control protocol. The main aim of the TCP is to establish and maintain the network conversation through the application programs that can exchange the data between each other. And TCP works with the IP protocol, which defines how computers send the packets to each other. And coming to UDP, user datagram protocol, and this user datagram protocol is working in transport layer protocol, and it is a part of IP protocol, and it is also referred to UDP IP suite. Unlike TCP, this UDP is unreliable, and also UDP is a connectionless protocol. So there is no need to establish connection prior to data transfer. And next layer is application layer. Application layer protocols defines how the applications interface with the lower layer protocols to send over the internet. Here we are having different protocols such as HTTP, COAP, WebSocket, MQTT, XMPP, and finally DDS. So HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is an application layer protocol for transmitting hypermedia documents such as HTML, and it was designed for communication between web browsers and web servers. But it can also used for other purpose also. And HTTP follows client server model, with a client opening a connection to make a request, then waiting until it receives a response. And HTTP is a stateless protocol. Stateless in the sense server does not keep any data between two requests. The next one is COAP. That is a constrained application protocol. It is a specialized internet application protocol for constrained devices. It enables the devices to communicate over the internet. This protocol is specially targeted for constrained hardware such as 8-bit microcontrollers and some low power sensors and similar devices that cannot run on HTTP or TLS. Then next one is WebSocket. WebSocket enables two-way communication between client running untrusted code in a controlled environment to a remote host that has opted into communication from that code. The security model used for this is origin-based security model, and these are mainly used in web browsers. And next one is MQTT. MQTT, the expansion for MQTT is message queuing telemetry transport, and this MQTT is a machine-to-machine and Internet of Things connectivity protocol, and actually it is designed as an extremely lightweight publish subscribe messaging transport, and mainly useful for connection with remote location where small code is required and network band is at a premium, premium in the sense low level. Then next one is XMPP, that is extensible messaging and presence protocol. It is a protocol which is used for communication, that is a message oriented middleware based on XML, that is extensible markup language, and it enables the near real time exchange of structured yet extensible data between any two or more network entities. And last one is DDS, that is data distribution service. It is a middleware protocol, and API is standard for data centric connectivity for the object management group. And this protocol integrates the components of the system together, providing low latency, data connectivity, extreme reliability, and scalable architecture. Then next here we are also having AMQP protocol, and this protocol consists of hard and fast of components that route and save messages within a broker carrier. And this AMQP protocol enables pattern programs to talk to the dealer and engage with AMQP model. And next we are having logical design. Okay. Coming to logical design of IoT, we are having three categories. First one is IoT functional block, and second one is IoT communication model, and last one is IoT communication APIs. Let me see the topics one by one. So first one is IoT functional block. Here we are having different blocks which serves for different purposes. So first one is a device. Device in the sense, actually the IoT system comprises of devices that provides sensing, actuation, monitoring, and control functions. These are provided by these devices. And next one is communication. Communication in the sense it handles the communication between each and every objects of the system. And next one is services. Services it provides the services for device monitoring, device control, and data publishing services, and services for the device discovery also. And next one is management. And management in the sense this block provides various functions to govern the IoT system. And next one is security. This block secures the IoT system, and by providing functions such as authentication, authorization, and message and content integrity and data security. This provides completely, this block provides security for our IoT system. And next one is application. This acts as an interface between the users that can to control the various aspects of the IoT system. It also monitors the functions of the IoT system also. Then this application allow the users to view the system status and also to view or analyze the processed data. So these are the different blocks that are involved in IoT functional blocks. Then next we are having IoT communication models. For communication, we need different types of models. For IoT, we are having four types. So first one, request response communication, and second one is publish subscribe model, and third one is push pull model, and last one is exclusive pair model. So first one, that is request response communication model. So in this model, in this model, client sends a request to the server, and server responds to the client's request. When the server receives a request, it decides how to respond and how to fetch the data and how to retrieve the resources and how to prepare the response like that. And this request response is a stateless communication model, and each request response pair is independent of each other. And here HTTP works as a request response protocol between client and server. And here web browsers a web browser may be a client, and an application on a computer that hosts a website may act as a server. And next okay, next we are having the next model as publish subscribe model. In this model, it involves publishers. That means it involves three important uh, points. First one is publisher, and second one is broker, and third one is consumers. Publishers are the sources of data, and publishers send the data to the topics which are managed by the broker. And publishers are not aware of the consumers, and also consumers subscribe to the topics which are managed by the broker. And when the broker receives data from the topic, uh, and when the broker receives the data from the for a topic from the publisher, it sends all the data to all the subscribed consumers. That means it will send only to the subscribed consumers alone. It won't send the data to other consumers. Then next one is, so next model is push pull model. In this model, okay. In this model, the data producers push the data to the queue, and the consumers pull the data from the queue. Producers don't need to be aware of consumers, and this queue helps in decoupling the messages between producer and consumer. Then and also this queue acts as a buffer, and this buffer, why it acts as a buffer means it also helps in situations when there is a mismatch between the rate at which the producer push the data and the rate at which the consumer pull the data. So the main purpose of this queue is it acts as a buffer in that situation. Then next model is exclusive pair communication. In this exclusive pair communication, the type of communication is bidirectional, and it is a fully duplex communication model that uses a persistent connection between client and server. And connection is set up, it remains open until the client sends a request to close the connection. And finally, client and server can send a message to each other after connection setup. And this exclusive pair is stateful communication model, and the server is aware of all the open connections. So this is the exclusive pair model. And next one is IoT communication API. So in this, we are having two types of APIs. First one is REST-based communication API, and second one is WebSocket-based communication API. So let's see one by one. So first one is REST-based communication API. So REST-based in the sense representational state transfer protocol. API. That is, it is a set of architectural principles by which we can design web services, which we can. Next topic is IoT communication API. So here we are having two types of APIs. First one is REST-based communication API. Second one is WebSocket-based API. Let's see one by one. So first one is REST-based communication API. The expansion for REST-based communication API is representational uh, transfer-based communication API. This REST-based communication API is it is a set of architectural principles by which we can design web services. And REST API follow the request response communication model, and the REST architectural constraints apply to the components, connector, and data element within the distributed hypermedia system. Then it contains different architectural constraints. Let me see one by one. So first one is stateless. That is, each request from the client to server must contain all the information necessary to understand the request, and it cannot take advantage of any stored context of the server. Then the session state is kept entirely on the client. Then next one is client server. Then client server means the principle within this client server constraint is the separation of concerns. For example, clients should not be concerned with the storage of the data, which is concern of the concern of the server. Similarly, the server should not be concerned about the user interface, which is concern of the client. Here, the separation allows the client and server to be independently developed and updated. Then next one is catchable. So catchable in the sense, catch can it requires that the data within the response to the request be implicitly or explicitly labeled, and or it may be non-catchable. And if a response is catchable, then the client catch is given the right to reuse that response data for later use. And next one is layered system. So layer system constrains the behavior of the components such that each component cannot see beyond the intermediate layer where they are interacting. For example, the client cannot tell whether it is connected directly to the end server or to our intermediary along with the way. Then next one is uniform interface. Uniform interface in the sense it requires the method of communication between client and server must be uniform, and resources are identified in the requests, and under themselves is separated from representations of the resource. And last one is code on demand. Code on demand, it provides executable code or scripts for the clients to execute in their context. And next method is next API is WebSocket based communication API. In this WebSocket based communication API, the type of communication is bidirectional, full duplex communication between client and server. And this WebSocket APIs follow the exclusive pair communication model. And unlike request response models such as REST, WebSocket APIs follows full duplex communication and do not require new connection setup for each message to be sent. And this WebSocket communication begins with the connection setup request sent by the client to the server. Then the request is sent over HTTP. That is, it is said to be WebSocket handshake, and the server interprets it. The server interprets it. It is an upgraded request like that. And if the server supports WebSocket protocol, the server responds to the WebSocket handshake response. After the connection setup, the client and server can send the messages to each other in a full duplex mode. And this WebSocket API reduces the network traffic, and also it reduces the latency, as there is no overhead for connection setup and termination requests for each messages. And this WebSocket is mainly suitable for the IoT applications which are in which they need low latency or high throughput requirements. So this WebSocket is most suitable for the IoT communication APIs of IoT systems. So that's all. So we have come across one small review. So first we have seen what is IoT, and next we have seen what are the different characteristics of IoT. Then next we have seen what are the physical designs of IoT. In that we have seen a generic block diagram, and next one is different types of protocols that are involved in different layers. And for logical design, we are having three categories. First one is functional block, communication model, and communication APIs. So in functional block, we are having these blocks, and in communication model, we are having these four types of models. That is request response model, publish subscribe model, push pull model, and exclusive pair model. So for this is request response model, and publish subscribe model, push pull communication model, and finally we have seen exclusive pair model. And in communication API, we have come across with two types of APIs. First one is REST based, and second one is WebSocket based communication API. Thank you.